Hi guys and welcome back. So now we're here in Marvelous Designer, and sometimes some people will tell me that when they first open up Marvelous Designer they don't have any of the 2D pattern tools or 2D making pattern making tools enabled. So I'm going to show you how to do that just in case your bar looks like this. So what you want to do is take your mouse and you want to put it over this gray area right here, right click, and then enable the thing that says 2D pattern toolbar, and that'll give you all the pattern making tools that we have here. Okay, that problem solved. Let's go over and import our exported Marvelous Designer, our Lara body. So what I'm going to do is go up to the top and I want to go File, Open, Avatar. And I want to open up the OBJ for our Lara, the one we exported. So it's this Lara body right here. And when you click it, you'll be met with this menu right here that's asking you what scale, what position, anything. All you have to do is check this little box that says M and then hit OK. And your Lara should pop in like just like that. It may be faster for you, but it's slow because I'm recording and I got a bunch of crap open. So it may be longer on my end. Alright, so now we have our Lara dummy already imported here at Marvelous Designer. We're going to press New and get rid of this default dress. And everything is set up waiting for you to start designing your clothes. Now, this part, if you've already watched my previous tutorials on how to use Marvelous Designer, you can pretty much skip this because it's exactly the same thing. I'm going to go through all the basics and stuff like that for those who are new. So if you're a beginner, fresh off the boat, welcome. You are now part of the Elite Creation Club. You may now turn your nose up in like pride, I guess. So I'll be teaching you guys how to make the basic t-shirt and a pair of pants, because once you know how to make a pair of pants and a t-shirt, you pretty much can make anything else in Marvelous Designer, because it's all about creating the shapes and then sewing the shapes together. But if you actually have pattern making skills, like you can make garments and stuff and understand how that works, you can translate that skill in here as well. You could just make the patterns in the 2D window and then sew it in the 3D window. Okay, so let me get in here and then start teaching you this stuff, because I've been talking for like 2 minutes and not showing you anything. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to talk about the windows. This is the 3D window. This will show you where your patterns... I'm going to start over here. This is the 2D window. This is where the magic happens. This is where you will be creating your patterns and creating your garments and sewing, as well as over here. The 3D window is going to be showing you what those patterns look like in 3D and where you'll be doing some sewing as well. Marvelous Designer 2 supports 3D window sewing, which is why I love it so much. So you can do sewing in 3D and it's amazing. You'll see in a second. How we create patterns is by using the 2D pattern tools up here in the top bar. This one is one you're probably going to be using the most. It's the create a polygon tool. It allows you to create shapes as long as you come back to the first mark that you make. So we're going to show you what I mean by that. So if we were to make any kind of shape we want using this, we can go on from here to infinity as long as we come back to the first square. But you see, it's not showing up anywhere. So we're going to need to press this button right here, the sync button. When the sync button is enabled, whatever pattern you create in the 2D window will show up in the 3D window. So if you notice that you're creating a pattern and it's not showing up in the 3D window, you probably don't have the sync button turned on. Also, Marvelous Designer will kind of hint at you that you have sync turned off, because the pattern will be red. When it's enabled, the pattern will be blue and it'll start showing up over here. So that's a nice little troubleshooting thing to learn. Next to the polygon tool is the square tool. And, well, it's actually create rectangle, but it's a square. It allows you to easily create squares and square patterns and stuff in the 2D window versus trying to use the polygon tool and creating a perfect square. So instead of doing that, you can just use the create a square. So I'm going to get rid of all this. Press delete. Next to that one is the circle tool. Like before, it lets you create a perfect circle, so you don't have to try to create that with the polygon tool. And that's it for the basic pattern tools. Next to that, you see these are the internal polygon tools. They work the same kind of as the regular pattern tools. I'm going to show you it in action. So we're going to use the internal polygon tools, internal polygon. They can do the same thing as the regular polygon tool, except for you don't have to go back to the first dot. So we can just double click right there, and now we have our internal pattern drawn on our regular pattern. Now you may be curious as to what's the point of these internal tools. Well, let's say you wanted to create, what's it called? Elastic. You can create elastic. You can also use these internal tools to create folds. You can also use them as new branches for patterns. Let's say you this was a dress and you wanted to have, all right, let me give you a better example. Let's say that this square represented a dress, and this is the top of the dress, and this is the bottom of the dress, and you wanted to have a long ruffle going along the base of the dress, but not the bottom part here. You wanted, like, this is the hem of the dress, and you wanted a ruffle just above the hem around here. You would create an internal polygon line, and then you would create another pattern, and then you can sew this ruffle to that part, and then you would have your ruffle. I mean, I can show you that later on, but that's pretty much what internal tools are. And it's also used to attach things, other things, like say if you wanted pockets, you can just create, use the internal square, and you can sew a pocket to that square, and same thing with the internal circle. But the cool thing that's most about the internal square and the internal circle and the internal square is that you can convert these into holes. So you can rip holes and stuff inside your pattern using the internal tools. But it usually only works with internal shapes, like so if we had something like this, we wouldn't be able to convert that into a hole. I think the holes have to be something that's sealed all the way, like this. We can take that pattern and we can convert this into a hole. If I can find that convert into hole button. Oh, I used the wrong tool. Let me go back. Okay. So we can use this and convert that into a hole, but we can't convert this broken one into a hole. So now you just learn how to make holes and stuff in your pattern, and you're all just started. Pat yourself on the back, dude. You're awesome. Alright, so now that we know how these tools work, this one right here is actually a dart. I still don't know what darts are. I failed that part of the class I took in real life. So darts are used to make things tighter or give you a better fitted kind of shape, but I've just been using them as like insta holes in my garments, just like ripping it open with the dart. So that's improper dart use. So have fun and experiment. I'm sure you'll figure these things out. Next to this line of tools is the second part, which is our sewing, our segment sewing and free sewing and all that stuff. But I like to do that in 3D, so I'll show you with that later. Next to this is these arrow tools. These ones we have been using. So I'm going to create a pattern so I can show you how to use these and what they do. So I'm going to create three squares, and I'm going to show you what the arrows do so you know what's going on here. So the first arrow here is the edit pattern tool, kind of self-explanatory here. It allows you to edit your pattern any way you want, like this. Gives you some control so you can just grab the dots and pull. Next to this is the edit, from the proper name of it, a transform pattern. It allows you to just select the piece of the pattern, and you can stretch it all as a whole and make it bigger, or you can rotate it, or you can just select multiple patterns and stuff using it, but you have to hold shift if you're selecting multiple patterns, so it just shows you that way. So I'm going to delete those. I'm going to use the next tool, which is the curve. So it allows you to add a curve to your patterns or so, like that. Next to that is the edit curve button, which allows you to further define your curve. So we can add another dot here, and you can make this like that. And that's great for when you're doing like French curves and stuff like that. I know proper terms sometimes. So you can use it to edit your curve. And this is an add point or add split line, and it just allows you to add more dots to your pattern so you can further refine it and to get that shape that you want. But that's pretty much it right now. So let's get into the actual meat of the tutorial, because all of that was just showing you the basic controls. So let's talk about actually creating a garment. So we want to make a t-shirt. So to make a t-shirt, all you have to do is just draw a shape of a t-shirt using the polygon tool. So I'm going to click the create polygon tool, and I'm going to start here at the folding line. The folding line is this line that's right here that goes straight down the middle of your avatar. You want to work on that when you're making stuff like t-shirts, because you can unfold. That's why I call it the folding line. So what you want to do is click on start. Wow, I'm like all over the place. Okay, so to make our t-shirt, what we're going to do is first define how high or how deep you want your t-shirt's collar to be. So right here is just to be a good place. Then you're going to drag it, click, and then drag it up to your shoulder. Then you're going to decide how long you want your sleeve to be. Sometime like right here, that's t-shirt size. And then you're going to decide how tight you want your sleeves to be. You want it to be like standard t-shirt size. You want it to be half a square down from your arms. I'm going to zoom in so you can get a better look at that. So you see the grid behind us, and here's like my arm where it's at. I want 1/2 a square right here. That's usually about how tight I make my shirts. But if you want to make it a little bit not so tight, you can go down a full 1.5 squares, like right here. Then you're going to pull it underneath your armpit right here. And this depends on, the next part is to drag it down to how long you want your t-shirt to be. So I like to make mine a bit long, because it always kind of rolls up. So right here about where your hips are, and then meet it back in the middle of the fold line. And if you have a hard time trying to keep things straight, you can hold the shift button, and it opens up the snapping grid, so it allows you to move a lot easier if you have a hard time lining things up. So you want to just take it and bring it straight up to our first connecting dot, and then you have 1/2 of a t-shirt pattern. So what we do next to get this, because we don't want to make 2 parts of a t-shirt that sew those 2 together. No. Since we made this on the folding line, or it's in half, we can use the edit pattern arrow right here. And we're going to click on the middle of our t-shirt pattern, then right click, and then select unfold. And now we have a full t-shirt pattern. Now we're going to click on this little middle dot right here and get rid of that, and just click on that and press delete. And now we have a front of our a t-shirt. We need to make a back of our t-shirt as well. So what you're going to do is click on your shirt, the front of your shirt, right click, and then you're going to press copy and then paste. And now we have the back of our t-shirt. Now the thing about it is, I don't want to have a collar that deep with my shirt. So I'm just going to select this middle dot right here, and I'm going to press delete. And then we have a front of a t-shirt and the back of our t-shirt. Now, if you are one of the people who need to have everything properly labeled so that you can see it, Marvelous Designer gives you that ability to name your pattern so you can keep track of things. I guess this actually does help out for when you are distributing your patterns out to other people and sharing stuff. So what I wanted to do is, you click on your pattern and you go over to the basic tab where it says property editor over here where it says basic, and you're going to press the info little plus, and then you see where it says name, and right now it says pattern 2D and it's just the ID number. So we're just going to click on that, and then we're going to name this front. Now it still is not showing up even though we have a name. So what you need to do is click on the grid, like right click on the grid, and you want to press this option right here where it says show pattern name, and it lets you see what's the front and what's the back. This could help out when your patterns get really complex and you have stuff all over and you're like, what the hell is that? What's this? What's that? What's this? What's that? But for something as simple like this, not black, back, you'll be able to keep track of things. So now you know this is the front of your shirt, this is the back of your shirt, and it keeps things nice and organized. So now that we have the front of our shirt and the back of our shirt already made, we need to put the back of our shirt behind our avatar so we can sew it onto the body. They changed it in other Marvelous Designers, I think, so I've been told. But in this version of Marvelous Designer, whatever you put behind your avatar, you need to flip horizontally. That way it comes in properly in Second Life. Because if we were to take this shirt, the back of the shirt as is, and put it behind our avatar like this, when we go to put it on our avatar in Second Life, this whole back side of your garment is going to be invisible, because the outside face is the right side of the fabric is turned inside, while the wrong part of the fabric is on the outside. That's why whenever you put something behind your avatar in Marvelous Designer 2, you have to flip, and then you'll be able to have the right side of the fabric and the wrong side of the fabric turned inside. So if it's gray like this, then this is the wrong side of the fabric. If it's white like this, that's the right side. So you want the white side showing always. So yeah. So now we have our fabric established. This is the back side that's behind us. We're going to take it and move it close to our avatar like so. I'm going to scoop this over. And then put this right here. You want to make sure that it's close to you. That way it doesn't, take forever. Alright, so what we're going to do, we have our garment all lined up. We're going to start the fun part, and that's the sewing. So I want you to turn your attention up here to these little blue things right here. These are your sewing tools. This is the segment sewing, which is what you're going to be using a lot. Don't worry about this one. This is free sewing. I have no idea how it works. I'm sure it's like the best thing ever, but I've never really played with it. I just stuck with segment sewing, so play with that one on your own time. We're going to stick with segment sewing just to get you, teach you the ropes. So we're going to select segment sewing, and I'm going to show you what those edit seam lines does after segment sewing, so don't worry about that, just because this was first. So select the segment sewing button, and we're going to click on the edge. You'll notice that when you put your mouse over the edge of the garment, a line pops up. They change color, so if your line isn't red, or it's okay, don't worry, you're not doing anything wrong, that's just the way it is. So we're going to put our mouse over the edge, and this highlights into a color. This is Marvelous Designer saying, yes, you can sew on that. So what you're going to do is click and establish a line, and you're going to drag it over to another edge. So click it with this. So when you have the two lines signed up like this, you'll see a string of lines coming up. These are your seam lines, and you want to make sure that you keep your seam lines nice and straight. I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So we're going to do it again on this edge. I'm just going to click on it, and I'm going to bring it over, and I'm going to click it, and you see the seam lines on this side are not straight. So this is what I meant by keeping your stuff straight. Sorry if I'm going everywhere. The seam lines are important because this is how Marvelous Designer tells the simulation how to act. When the lines are straight, it means you're telling Marvelous Designer, take this edge and bring them together straight and sew them together. When they're crooked like this and twisted, you're telling Marvelous Designer, bring this line and this line together and then twist it up in the middle. And that can lead to some serious errors. So you want to always make sure that your lines are nice and straight for good results. If your lines come out twisted like this, there are a few ways that you can fix it. If you just posted it, if you just did it, you can press Control Z and undo it like that. But if you were already invested and you just noticed that your lines are twisted, you can use this button right here, the Edit Seam Lines, one we talked about earlier, and click on it, right click, and they'll ask you a bunch of things, like what do you want to do with this seam line? You want to say reverse the seam line, and it'll untwist it, and you'll have nice straight lines. So what I want you guys to do is to take your segment sewing and just sew on all the edges, leaving this one open for your arms. And so just keep on sewing, keep on sewing, keep on sewing. So all the edges that need to be sewn are sewn. You want to leave your neck and your head open, or else that'll be bad. So make sure that's not sewn. So once everything is sewn nice, you want to grab your edit pattern tool again. I'm going to pull this down just a little bit, and then we're going to press play. And this is the play, which is play button, or the simulate button, and that will make it go. And there you have it. You have your own t-shirt that's like this. Now this arms of the garment, or the sleeve, is a little low for a t-shirt, I guess. I know how in Second Life the t-shirt things have to be connected to the skin. So you can actually click on your pattern over here, holding down shift and selecting all of them, and then just move it up, and you can tighten it and make the sleeves and stuff there. The same thing can be said about your dress here, the length of your shirt. If you select the ends of it, you can drag it down and make it longer if you want, and it becomes a t-shirt dress. Or you can, oops, I messed up here. Let me go back. Press Control Z and push this back. You can click on the bottoms here and pull it up, and then you got yourself, a really good crop top. It just depends on how much you want it. Now, if you wanted to make the t-shirt like baggier on you, like you don't want it so tight, you could just go on to the edges here and pull it out. I'm going to hold down shift while I do this, and you can pull your edges and make the dress. I keep calling it a dress, but it was actually a t-shirt. You can make your t-shirt not so tight. On the same line, if you want to make your t-shirts tighter, just take the edges and pull them closer in. So you can do the same thing over here. If you find that you're lagging really bad during your simulation, you can actually turn the particle distance up, and that will make a lower poly thing for you. I think it's actually going through my body right now, so I'm going to press this button and rearrange the pattern. And oof, that is narrow, isn't it? It's just a strip of fabric. It's a T-rag. You want to make sure it's close, but you don't want your butt going through it, or it'll simulate through your butt, and that's not good. So now you see that the shirt is like skin tight. I guess this would count as a dress now. So let's pull this up a little bit, lot of it. There we go. So now we have a super tight t-shirt. There we go. Now we have some things that we can do. If you find that you are clipping really badly, you can just click on it and you can try pulling it out like this, and it usually recalculates and fixes itself. In severe cases, you could just fix this in Blender, or you can go into the simulation property. You need to go into the avatar property. Then you need to click on the avatar and then go into avatar properties, and you can play with the skin offset that's here and turn it up more, and you'll see that it puffs out, but it's actually creating more of a gap between the skin and the avatar. So you can play around with those numbers if you find that your stuff is really sinking into your avatar without you liking it. Like if it's too bad, you can't get if it's too bad, you can just play with that. So that's another lesson. Like I said before about the particle distance, right now the particle distance for me is at 20 because I was making gowns, but t-shirts don't have to be this high. You can turn the particle number like up to 40, and you see the quality of the shirt goes down because it just made it less poly. It's a lot simpler. If you want something like overly, this is totally way too many polygons for a t-shirt, many triangles for a t-shirt, you can turn the polygon, thing down. So the lower the particle distance is, the more densely packed your garment would be. The higher the number, the less dense it would be. I like to stay in like 20. That's usually how dense I make my clothes, depending on what the garment is. For a t-shirt, 20 to 40 is a good way to be. It really all depends on you. So we made a t-shirt, so now we get to talk about making pants. So I'm just going to throw my t-shirt pattern over here real quick, and I'm going to pause it while I work on this. Also, if you find that you're lagging really bad, you can turn your particle distance up some more and then work, and then when you're finished making your patterns, turn it back down to 20 and then let it render for a second, pause it, and then export it. That's a quick little tip. Alright, so pants. Pants are the same thing like t-shirts. You're going to start at how high you want your pants to be. So right here, I guess where the belly button would be. And you want to go down to the crotch, and you want to click here. And then you're going to make a backwards L a little bit up against the thigh. And then this is how long you want your pants to be. You can make them all the way into pants or turn them into shorts. It all depends on to you. So I'm going to go on the middle and then make kind of like capris. So it'll start right here. So you're going to go across the knee, up to like the thigh again, up here to like a hip, and then connect to your first part at the folding line. Now that we have our basic pattern done, we can right click on it and then unfold. And then what I want you to do is delete this little dot here in the middle, and you're going to press delete. And the reason why we delete that is, press Ctrl Z and bring it back. If we don't delete this dot, you will have to sew here and here, which takes a little bit longer. You can just save time by deleting that dot, and then you only have to sew the crotch just right there. So there's a pair of pants, and I also have to delete that at the top. So now we have our front part of our pants. We're going to make the back, same thing that we did with the t-shirt. We're just going to click on it, press Ctrl C, then Ctrl V, and then you have a pair of pants pattern. Now because this one is going behind, what are we going to do? We're going to flip the pattern and then put it behind our avatar right here, like so. And then once we have it there, we're going to start sewing. So we're going to sew our edges together like we did with the t-shirt. And then we are going to see if it's all lined up. When you're working with pants, you always want to pull the butt up a little bit higher than what it's supposed to. Even though they're going to be down here, you want to make sure they're a little bit higher, because for some reason, Marvelous Designer always likes to drag the butt down. So you always pull it up higher. At least that's my little tip for making pants. You can always pull it down. It's just a pain in the ass to pull it back up. So once you have everything all lined up and ready to go, you're going to press play, and you see you get a pair of pants. Now this can be a bit of a problem, so I'm going to change the color of the pants so you can see it better, because it's hard to show you the problem when everything is like white on white on white. So I'm going to click on the pants right here, and I'm going to go to fabric, and I'm going to go where it says color, and I'm going to change the color. And I'm going to change the color to black, because it's usually how we do things here. Maybe red. Red's cool. Alright, so we got these pants. And as you see, because we sewn their pants so high up, it swallowed our t-shirt. Now, that could be good if you want that. If you want a pair of pants, if your shirt is tucked into your pants, that's good. But if you want, let's say you want to have your shirt, on top of your shirt, or no, you want your shirt on top of your pants, we're going to have to make some adjustments. So I need to take you over here to our property editor. Marvelous Designer has what's called a layer system, which allows you to make multiple layers of garments and stuff in one go, so you don't have to just like, here's I made a t-shirt, then I made the pants, and then I got to fix everything. No, the simulation supports layering. So what you need to do is figure out what garment you want on top. In our instance, we want the t-shirt to be on top of the pants. So what we're going to do is select in the t-shirt pattern. So I'm going to click on the pattern, I'm going to hold down shift, and I'm going to make sure both of them are selected. And then I'm going to go over here to our properties editor, and I'm going to select fabric, and then we're going to scroll all the way down to you see etc. and then layer. And right now the layer is set on 0. It's set on 0 here on the pants too, so that means they're on both the same layer, kind of conflicting with each other like that. I'm going to turn the t-shirt layer up to 1, and you see when we turn on our simulation, the t-shirt pops out and is on top of it. So whatever has the higher number, that's what's going to sit on top of the garment. If whatever lower, it's going to be tucked underneath. So that's why we got this tucked. The pants are on layer 0, so they're underneath this, because this is layer 1. So hopefully that makes sense to you. And yeah, so now we have our t-shirt and our pants, and we are pretty much done here in Marvelous Designer. And all that's left for us to do is to export. Now, I bet you're wondering, like, what about the unwrapping? What do I do about the UV mapping for this stuff and all that jazz? Well, good thing about Marvelous Designer is that our 2D pattern that we made over here is actually our UV map and UV layer. So, this is the front of your t-shirt. This is the back of the t-shirt. When you go to texture it, you'll be texturing on this and texturing on that. So you're going to want to make sure that, one, your patterns aren't overlapping each other like this, and you give them a little bit of space in between them for selecting things. And I'll tell you about why when we go into texturing our t-shirt and stuff like that. But for right now, all you need to know is this is our UV map for this whole garment, and we're going to give each other a little bit of space for it right here. And it's time to export for Blender so we can rig this. So what we want to do is go into File. First you want to save it because you want to come back to this layer later in case you want to open it up and make modifications and not have to go through this again. You can just save your stuff as File, Save As, and then go to Project. And then we're just going to name this, it won't let you save in the Marvelous Designer default place, so you have to go to like your desktop and just save it as, I don't know, Lara Yoga outfit. And there you go. Wait for it to go, and then you're done. Now you can transfer this to other people, and they'll have the model already in there, and your garment, and the pattern. Projects rock. Alright, so once you have that saved, it's time to export. So what we want to do is go to File, Export, OBJ, and we're going to name this Yoga Outfit, and then hit Save As, Save, and then you're prompted with this menu, and it wants to ask you how do you want to export this. So what you want to check, you want to uncheck the box that says Object Cloth, Object Avatar Shape. You want to uncheck that. You only want Cloth Shape checked. Then you want to check Unified UV Coordinates, remove collapsed triangles, and then for scale, you want to press M, and then you just hit OK. And then that's it. You've marvelously designed a t-shirt and a pair of pants. Congratulations. It wasn't so hard, was it? Alright, so it took a while, but you now know how to use Marvelous Designer 2. So we're going to go take our outfit that we just had and put it in Blender, and then we're going to rig it and then hopefully go and wear it. So I'll see you guys over in Blender, and we'll continue our tutorial from there.